So this is, without a doubt, an unfair comparison. The two guitars in front of you are a 1963 Gibson Dove and a 2022 Gibson Dove. And they are inherently the same type of guitar. And that is pretty much where the similarities end. There are so many different portions of these guitars that it's, like I say, they are the same guitar. They are made out of the same kinds of woods, but the actual types are completely different. For instance, the 63 Dove is, at its core, a classic. But in 1963, it was only the second year of the Dove. So there was no precedence or original collection. It is the original collection. This 63 is what this 2022 is based on. So the original, the replica, that's where we're at right here. And it's going to sound different because they also have, the 63 has 13 gauge strings on it and the 22 has 12 gauge. So at their core, now in 1963, I'm pretty sure the 63 Dove had 12 gauge strings on it too. But for this comparison, because that's where they're currently strung up, this one has 13s and the 22 has 12. So you're going to hear a different sound. But also, this is Sitka spruce top, maple back insides, Sitka spruce top, maple back insides on the 22 as well. This is a Brazilian rosewood fretboard because it's a 63. This is the Indian rosewood. There's really, nobody talks about what kind of rosewood they specifically use nowadays. There's speculation as to where the source of it is, but no one's out. I don't think anybody's done an audit of, is this an Indian rosewood? Is this East Indian? Is it West Indian? I don't think anybody's done it. So I'm not going to go deep into the comparisons, but I wanted to show that things like up here at the top, there's a white versus black Dove cover. So as I pick it up and put them up there, I'll make sure and point out the ones. Now, by all accounts, our 63 is one of the cleanest that Gibson's ever sent me. They talked about it when we went saw them at South by Southwest one year. And you can see the lacquer's chipping off up here because that's just what happens on a 60-year-old guitar. But it has a sound that is iconic. When people talk about the Gibson sound, the Dove, the J45, the Hummingbird, and the J200, which became the SJ200, is kind of what people are talking about. There's a sound that these guitars make that is just rich and sometimes kind of muted feeling almost. But things like, say, the white Dove cover. This one has the Tune-o-matic bridge with the nylon, nylon saddle sets. The iconic Dove, but the Tune-o-matic ones got the little dot beside them. So, and the inset of the Dove, that is actually a mother pearl that's inset into the pickguard. And that's something that's unique to the Dove versus even the Hummingbird and others. But these guitars, at their core, really do have a lot of similar, like the feeling of them is very similar. And when you pick this guitar up, it just feels right. But when you pick up the other one, the 2022 model, it also just feels right. When you're holding it, it has a different truss rod cover. It has different fingerboard material, but the frets are similarly flat as you get higher up. They do have more crown than the other one does, but it's also not 60 years old. So give it 50-ish years, and it probably too will sound that way. But you can see that the dove is still inset in there, and it's actually raised in spots. Like this is uneven. It's a little lower and more flush over here than it is over there. And that's something that's just iconic to the dove itself. And I gotta tell you, it makes you want to finger pick it, because you know, it makes you want to be more delicate with it, because it's a little more attention to detail, and it's almost custom shop feeling. But at the same point in time, it does not have exactly the same. Though the back of the neck, I gotta tell you something. I was expecting there to be some kind of difference in the back of the neck, but gosh, man, the back of the neck just feels so similar. And again, this one is nowhere near as deep because doesn't have the same gauge strings. But it does have a lot of the same feeling. I mean, like, so much of it is similar. The way I'll show the 63 in a minute, but the way this is now, this right here, this dividing line is different on here versus the 63. And when I show you the 63, I almost wonder if deep down inside the 63 might be a single piece. To show you what I'm talking about, there's no book matching anywhere on this guitar. It seemingly is one gigantic piece of wood. See that? There's no dividing line anywhere in there. It's just figured maple. And it is a figured maple back inside, though this one doesn't have nearly as much flame as the other one does. So they did do that different, but this piece of wood is a giant slab. And I don't know when they changed that. I don't know why they changed that, other than probably they couldn't get big slabs of wood like that anymore. But bottom line is that these guitars really do have a very similar feel to them. Now, again, different tuners, because you got Grovers on the modern one. Got a different neck overall because it's just the way the wood is different. The back is different. There's a cap on the modern one, whereas this one just has the plain neck on it. The bracing, I'm almost positive, and I want to point out something. If you look inside here, you can see the red that was sprayed in and it's hard to really get it on camera like this, but can you see this red right here? Right there? That's red that was sprayed when they were spraying the guitar. And that is something that is missing on this guitar. So I don't know if they sprayed this and then did that, if they taped all this off. I don't have a good answer for how they got away from getting spray in there. I don't know how that was done, what the situation was. Oh no, wait a minute. You can see it. It's really hard to see, but there is some right up in here. So just the different way that they held the spray nozzle, maybe? I don't have a good answer for that. I do know that there seems to be a good amount of figuring, and more figuring on the side on this guitar than on the 63. But that could just be a batch of wood, or it could just be this one guitar. It might be. Anyway, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for why that's like that, but I do know that this guitar has a lot of the same feeling that makes the 63 iconic. And with the right gauge strings, it might actually sound the same. And that's impressive because if you think about the fact that the woods on the 63 are so different than what we have now, I mean, that's a lot. But Gibson, this one, of course, is made in Nashville. Or no, this one's made in Bozeman. This one's made in Bozeman. And this one is a Kalamazoo guitar. So Gibson Acoustic was still in Kalamazoo when the 63 was made. So Bozeman's putting out some pretty good stuff right now, and they have over the years put out some other ones. I'll try to find, we had a 95 model at one point, and I'll see if I can find Bobby and get that 95 model back to just put next to these two to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like in the middle, because 63 and 95 to 2022, that's about a 30-year gap in each one of those. So I'll shut up and do a little more music. Start off on this one so you can hear how it goes from one to the other. Enjoy. So there you have it. Two guitars, basically 60 years apart from each other. Same model. Both of them straight off the the USA acoustic lines. The 63 was made in Kalamazoo. The 22 was made in Bozeman. They have a very similar feel to each other. And when I say that, I say it in the nicest of ways, because it really does feel great to hold a 22 and realize that so much of it is still being built. So, $300 in 1963 versus $4,000 in 2022. This 63 is what this is based on. So, I don't know how much this guitar is worth. Somebody told me once it's like 20 grand. So, 10 grand buy-in for probably a regular top one is probably right. So, would you spend the money for $4 grand for the modern, which also has the LR bags, or would you spend the 10 grand on a classic? I personally think I'd spend the 10 grand on a classic, but that's my own thing. Since I own one, I'm kind of partial to it, and I think it's got a lot of history and a lot of feeling to it, so I'm a fan. So, anyway, like, comment, subscribe, just talk about what you choose. Till next time.